everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you haven't visited us before, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. I have been sharing some varied content on the channel. I'm still finding my place here, but last video I was sharing my autumn seed planting. So I'm starting all my seeds for our autumn or fall garden. A bit late, but starting it. And I mentioned that I got this vertical planter that I wanted to share. It's a Mr Stacky, and a Mr Stacky is the Australian version equivalent, in my opinion, of the Greenstalk planter. I've never seen a Greenstalk planter in person, so I'm talking from what I've seen, but I have seen the Greenstalk planter all over YouTube with other homesteaders before, and I really liked the look of it. So when I saw this Mr Stacky, I thought it was worth giving a go. So let me bring you around and give you a look at what it looks like. Now you'll have to excuse the mess around here. So this is the end of my kitchen space here. This is our washing machine, and this is where we've just got a bit of spare decking. We're eventually going to create a bit of a extension here on the deck on this side here, and create a half wall, and on that half wall have a ledge to put a whole lot of planter boxes. So this is the Mr Stacky here. So it is 5 tiers. They have the same general shape as the Greenstalk, and they alternate with the tiers, so the moisture drips from the bottom of each one into the one further down, so you can water the top 2 layers and it eventually drips down to the others. Now I haven't put much in here yet. I need to seed some stuff, so I'm going to do that today. I propagated some basil cuttings and put them in the top here, and they've been doing really well. So when it comes to you, it comes all dismantled, and you get a block of the cocoa core and some perlite, and you just stack the pieces on and you fill them with the product provided. And it has a metal a drip tray on the bottom, and then a metal base with wheels on it, a trolley base, so that you can move it around. So this is great for when we start getting frost, and I can move it in and out of wherever it's cold, put it up on the top of the house or whatever I need to do to try and keep everything out of frosts. So I've got a couple of seedlings in here that I just happen to have spare. This is a couple of jalapeno seedlings, and I doubt very much that I'll get much from them at this late date. And this is just a cucumber that I had a seedling of that I stuck in the bottom because I thought I could use a piece of rope to trellis it up to the roof here if I need to. So what I plan to do in all the rest of the tiers is basically lettuce and spinach and that sort of thing. Green leaves that we can come and pick as we want. So when you purchase the Mr Stacky, you have a choice of colours. I got this terracotta colour, but they had a white one as well, and you can get a small or a large. This is the large version, so hands first sizing. I really wanted the large version, and I definitely think I will be getting more of these. So when you purchase a Mr Stacky, you have a couple of options that you can choose. There's the size, so there's a smaller and a larger one. There's the tiers that you can purchase separately or all together. Some have wheels, some have the trolley and that, and you can choose not to have the trolley. You can also choose to have multiples of them so that you can create a series of them as well, and hydroponic solutions and things like that. So I went with the hydroponic solution. It comes with a part A and a part B hydroponic solution, very standard. Comes powdered in these bottles, and then you add water to make the mix up. I then am currently hand watering just with a 2-litre juice container that has holes in the top. I need a new watering can, I don't have one at the moment. So I'm hand watering with those, but I think that if I got multiple of them, I'd probably set it up so that I have a reticulation system to go through all of them, which is not very hard to set up with a cheap pump and a bit of black poly piping. It only has to go in to top section to help go through the bottom, and on their site they have some very extensive farming setups and things like that all look really great. So we went for the large in terracotta with the trolley, 5 tiers, and I got the hydroponic solution with it as well, and I am very happy with it, and I will definitely buy at least one more, I would say, and I might set them up with some auto watering once I've got the 2 of them. So I'm going to seed the other layers with lettuce, and I'll keep you updated on how that goes and what happens with that. But it has been the basil has taken off in there. I propagated it in water, just took cuttings out of the garden, propagated it with roots in water and stuck it in there, and it's been doing really well. And I've been using the hydroponic solution that came with the Mr Stacky to water it. Now, in regards to seeding, I've been keeping this nice and damp, so I'm going to put a few more basil seeds in the top here in some of these gaps, because I'd really like a nice decent harvest of basil to make pesto with, because as I mentioned, I haven't had much luck. So most of my basil in the garden is actually bolting already, so it's no good to take cuttings from. So I've got here just a mixed basil, that is all I'm going to use. It has a variety of different basils in it. We like them all, so it doesn't worry me. Now, I've kept it nice and damp, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny handful of the soil off the top, and remember, when we're planting seeds, you only want to plant them about twice the depth of the current of the seed, and basil seeds are tiny, so basically I'm going to sprinkle them on the surface. So I'm just going to grab a few. I can always thin them if I need to, and I'm just going to sprinkle them in all the gaps. We don't have a huge amount of time left for basil to grow, so them being close together is not going to be a big deal. So I'm just going to do that and sprinkle them all over this top layer and see what happens. Then I'm going to put that little handful of soil, let me put these away, it's a little handful of soil that I got, and I'm just going to sprinkle it all over the place and give things a little bit of a move around so that those seeds go into the just very light surface of the thing, of the soil, of the cocoa, and then I'm just going to water it in. And I'll just make sure to keep this well watered for the next week or so while they germinate. Keep it really nice and moist on top, like that. And so basically that's what I'm going to do on the other layers as well, except I won't have any plants to work around, and I'm just going to do lettuce and spinach through them. So I've seeded all 5 tiers. So I've ended up with some winter giant spinach, some black magic spinach, some rocket or arugula, whatever you want to call it, baby spinach, some general salad lettuce leaves, and that bit more of basil on the top, and that one thing of chamomile and one of, what was it? It was coriander or cilantro. So we will see how they go. I will take a photo today, and then I will continue to share as it progresses and as it sprouts, and we'll see how it looks, and I'll share it along with you. So Mr Stacky has given me a code to share with you to get 10% off anything in their store if you would like. I'll put the code up on the screen and in the comments below. And if you want to purchase anything from them, you can use that code to get 10% off. I do recommend them. I think they're going to be a great addition to my gardening. There's just some things that don't grow real well in my in-ground beds here, so having this as an option and having the hydroponic solution as an option, I think it all complements each other. Like, I really do think that some things do better in hydroponics and that it's worthwhile doing. So the other thing I bought recently was this system that you can see it behind me. Oh. It's an NFT system, and it was just off eBay, and it's just a small system that I thought again would be good for growing things like lettuce and stuff. So I'm going to try and put this together now. I'll run the camera and we'll see how it goes, and if I can get this up and going. So this uses a pump to run. So NFT is I can't remember what film transfer, I can't remember what it stands for, but basically you have liquid running at all times through the pipes, just a shallow film of hydroponic solution running through the bottom that just keeps the roots moist at all times, and the roots draw what it needs from it as it rotates through the piping, and so it goes from one end of the piping to the other end of the piping back into a reservoir, and then it's pumped from that reservoir back to the beginning of the NFT and pumped all the way through again. So we've done something similar before. We did some cracky beds and things like that. We didn't do anything this year. We just did our in-garden stuff, but I didn't have any luck with a few things, with some herbs, lettuce, spinach, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to put this together and see if I can get it set up and maybe seeded, and we'll see how we go, and maybe I will have just another option for growing things. So I got it together, but if there was an instruction booklet, it isn't here anymore, which is not exactly unusual in our household. So this is the premise of it though, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to tinker. I'll probably get Darryl out here to have a look too. So this is the four, let me bring the camera down. So this is the 4 rows which you put your plants in. So it comes with these little net pots. So I'm just going to fill them with cocoa core and perlite, the same as we've got in the Mr Stacky, and they just sit in there, and then the root structure goes out the bottom of them and into the NFT liquid, the film liquid that runs through the bottom. So it comes with a stand, but I've put this together wrong for a start, but I don't really understand. So I've got the photo on eBay here of what it's supposed to look like. This is what I bought, and that's fine, except that stand that it's on looks very different to what I'm doing or what I've done, but I don't have any more pieces. All I've got is the caps for the bottom of the stand and one of these. However, this box has been open, and I do have children, so it is possible that pieces have gone missing. But I put these, I accidentally put these corners on opposite on the 2 ends, but whichever way you put them, it seems unlikely. I thought, oh, well, okay, maybe the caps go on the top, but they don't. The caps fits on the feet, which is fine, but you don't really want this open at the top either. So I'm not sure about that. I'm going to figure it out. But I'm going to get this up and running, and I'm going to put some net pots in it. This is the little pump that comes with it. So the pump has the flexible tubing. The flexible tubing goes on here, and the pump goes in the reservoir. It pumps it through this one, goes all the way through, and then comes out back into the reservoir here. That is the plan anyway. I may have to tilt it slightly for that to work as well, so we're going to have to test that out, but I will see how I go, and I'll let you know how this one progresses as well. Alright, so we've had a play and we've tested the pump out and stuff like that. The pump runs fine, but the way it's put together, as I was saying before, the problem becomes that the water isn't going to be running directionally enough to get speed up to keep a film rather than a depth. So when the water's running, it's running almost up to the top, and if you've got no gap between the water and the top of the piping, then you haven't got aeration and oxygenation for the root structure. So you don't want it completely submerged. You have to have air pockets to allow for the plants to compensate, to oxygenate, even with the hydroponic solution in the bottom. So you only want sort of, a knuckle's worth of liquid in the bottom, because this is concave, say a knuckle's worth of liquid running along the bottom, constantly moving, and then that will allow the roots to oxygenate in the air pocket above it. So we couldn't get that to work. We've tried tilting it up on some wood, we've tried different directions, it hasn't worked. So I think what we're going to do is mount it vertically. We've got an old metal bed frame that we might use to try and mount it vertically on, and then have it running in a angled way to do it. So I bought it off eBay. It was inexpensive at the time for the cost, in the comparison to the cost of buying all the PVC parts ourselves, and the idea was to get a good idea of how they went together and how they did it, and it was pre-drilled with all the holes, and it came with all the net cups and things like that. So I didn't really expect it to go together and just work. I did expect there to be some hiccups and some work required on it. So we're going to keep going with it, and I'll let you know what we end up with. Alright, so we've had a fiddle. If you can see behind us, we've got the bed frame, and we've just used old chucks at the moment because we'd have to get some bracketing or something for it, but the idea is that we'll have it running in a directional four-way down here and see how it works. I don't know how well this is going to work, we're still testing it out, but theoretically this will create enough flow for the water to run from the top to the bottom and only leaving that film in the bottom, so we'll see. So we'll keep you updated, but thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time. And don't forget, the 10% off code for the Mr Stacky is in the comments below if you'd like to use it.